Morning class, today we're starting a new topic. We're going to be having a look at our national parks. We're going to be looking at animals that live in our national parks, some of the local plants, how Aboriginals used to live around these areas, and more importantly, how you at home can help out to save them.
Australia has more than 500 national parks, covering an incredible 28 million hectares. That's almost 4% of the country. There are many species of animals and plants that you can find in our national parks. Some examples include the eastern grey kangaroo, the koala bear, the platypus, Sturt's desert pea, and the waratah. Because some of the species of animals and plants that live in our national parks are endangered, these areas are protected for the preservation of wildlife. They're protected by our government, and in some cases are even listed on national heritage sites, such as UNESCO. There are even many national parks in our local area on the Central Coast. Some include Popperin National Park, Budai National Park, and Brisbane Water National Park. These national parks have many different features, including giant mountains, large open grasslands, big marine extensions, and in some cases deserts. Because of the many different examples of wildlife in our national parks, it's very important that at home we live sustainable lives so that we can minimise the damage done to our national parks, and more importantly, help save the wildlife that lives within it. So what does being sustainable mean to you? And what are some examples of being sustainable at your home?
Now that we've learned a little bit about our national parks, we're going to take a look at some of the ways that Aboriginals used to live here, and we're also going to have a look at the ways that we're affecting the national parks currently.
The Indigenous people of Australia have lived in Australia for over 30,000 years. They have lived with sustainable habits, using only the resources available without depleting them. They've used their intimate knowledge of plants, soils, animals, climate, and seasons, not to exploit nature, but to coexist alongside it. This involves careful management, control of population, and the use of small quantities, but a wide variety of plants and animals. The plants were used to provide food, medicine, pesticides, poisons, and building materials, whilst animals provided meat, clothing, string, and implements such as oil. Indigenous people looked after the land they lived on. Everything that they caught or harvested was used in some fashion. This is pretty different to how we live today. Today we just get in the car and go down to Coles or Woolies and grab our meats and grab our vegetables off the shelves, don't we? The problem with doing that, however, is there's so much plastic and so much waste that just gets tossed aside in landfill or in gutters or even straight into our national parks. This puts our wildlife in danger, as our wildlife can sometimes see the plastic as food, or sometimes they may get caught up in fishing nets. So what can you do at home to live a more sustainable life to help save our wildlife? You can start by picking up your rubbish and putting it in the bin. This also means picking up any rubbish that you may see while you're out on a walk, and if you see someone littering, tell them to pick it up and put it in the bin. Another thing you can do is minimize the amount of plastic that you have in your lunchboxes at home. Instead of picking that LCM bar, take an apple instead. Use reusable containers for your sandwiches. And if you do happen to visit one of our national parks, don't disturb the wildlife or pick the plants. Follow the signs and make sure that you keep our wildlife safe from harm. How many other ways can you think of to be sustainable in your home?